Good morning, Brooks.
Good morning.
Welcome to the 2026 Cum Laude Society Induction Ceremony in the Frank D. Ashburn Chapel. Here in this space on this campus, we remember that at Brooks School we live and learn on land once of the Pennacook people, and we acknowledge their enduring presence. In 1906, Dr. Abram Harris, director of the Tome School in Port Deposit, Maryland, established the Cum Laude Society to honor scholastic achievement in secondary schools. The society is modeled on the Phi Beta Kappa organization at the collegiate level, and to become eligible for membership, a student's academic record must be of the highest quality, and the way they conduct themselves in our community must reflect well upon the school. Each school with a Cum Laude Society chapter has a delegation comprising faculty who themselves have earned a membership in the Cum Laude Society, the National Honor Society, or Phi Beta Kappa. Brooks is fortunate to have 17 faculty members in our chapter. Twice per year, the chapter considers eligible students and votes on the final slate of candidates. Bylaws of the organization provide that we can elect up to 20% of the graduating sixth form class to membership in the society. This ceremony is a demonstration of our enthusiastic commitment to honor scholastic achievement at Brooks School. We gather as a school community to make that commitment known. And to our guests, whether you are in this room or viewing the ceremony from another part of the world, thank you for celebrating with us. Today's ceremony will include 2 hymns sung in community. The second hymn, later in the service, will be the school hymn, written by Phillips Brooks in 1897 to music composed by George Peabody. But for our opening hymn, which is now, we will sing Let the Life I Lead, an adaptation of May the Work I've Done Speak for Me, with original music and words by Sullivan Pugh. Please rise if you're able and join in singing. I have the privilege of inviting a speaker to the dais to share some words as part of this ceremony each year. This year's speaker has been part of the Brooks community for longer than just about any of us, having been a faculty kid at Brooks, a summer camp employee, and for many years a teacher in the ceramic studio. Lynn Evangelist McLaughlin has helped an uncountable number of students tap into their creative potential. Whether they passed through her studio for one class or discovered a lifelong passion, students have always found in Lynn profound humanity, groundedness, and an uncanny ability to see them for who they are. She has taught students to view creativity as a process, to see their work for its ephemeral beauty, and to make their way through the frequent heartbreak in pursuit of the unmatched thrill of successfully building, throwing, glazing, and firing clay. She has taught them to work mindfully and to consider how their work can reflect their identity and be a form of activism. A lifelong student of education and the arts, Lynn earned a Bachelor of Arts from Framingham State University and a Master of Education from the University of Massachusetts Lowell. Brooks School has been the fortunate recipient of all she has learned in her life. She will retire at the end of this year after nearly 50 years on Great Pond Road, and I'm so grateful that she has agreed to share some of her experience with you this morning. To give the 2026 Cum Laude address, please join me in welcoming Lynn Evangelist McLaughlin.
Thank you. That was so nice. Thank you. Good morning. You've already introduced me, so I'm glad to be here. I'm really honored to be here to honor our cum laude inductees. And you seniors have worked very hard to get where you are, so it's important that you feel seen for your achievements. I am also a senior citizen. So we're both heading into our final spring here at Brooks. So I guess this is my senior speech. At a time like this, you may find yourselves reflecting, taking inventory, and wondering, who am I? What is success? What is my purpose? What comes next? I find myself asking the same questions about my own life right now. First slide, please. Recently, I listened to a podcast about caterpillars becoming butterflies. Like most people, I thought I understood the basics. Caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly. But there was one detail I didn't know that completely blew my mind. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar doesn't simply grow wings. Its body actually dissolves. I didn't know that. It becomes what scientists describe as a kind of gooey cellular soup before the butterfly forms. Now that might sound like something has gone terribly wrong, but here's the incredible part. Before the caterpillar even enters the chrysalis, the beginnings of the butterfly are already inside it. Everything it needs is already there. I have to admit, I love a good metamorphosis story. And we are all part of our own mystery of becoming. I grew up surrounded by curiosity, observation, and experimentation, all the makings of creativity. My father was a scientist, artist, and teacher, and as you know now, he taught biology here for 39 years. His classroom was like a museum of curiosities, cabinets full of specimens, jars of strange specimens, and creatures, and our favorite skeleton, Isaac, who many of you know. My 5-year-old self would love shaking hands with him and saying hello. Science didn't stop at the classroom door. Our home was filled with unusual pets. Horny toads, tadpoles, lizards, even chicks hatching from incubators. It was not uncommon to find Isaac lounging on our couch or frozen birds in the freezer next to the strawberries. Normal childhood. At night, my dad pointed out the constellations. Hikes, canoe trips, even vacations became expeditions, examining rocks, plants, animals, and environments. And my mom created in other ways, gardening, singing, sewing, cooking, and caring for neighbors. As a child, I spent my days drawing, digging in the dirt, playing in the river behind my house, building forts, exploring nature. Life in my family was one continuous classroom. And yet, even growing up in that world of discovery, I didn't always feel whole. School was hard for me. Academics did not come easy. I didn't think I was smart. I didn't know then that I had dyslexia or ADD. I just knew learning was different for me. And when you're young and struggling in school, it's easy to believe something's wrong with you. It's still hitting me now. Isn't that interesting? For a long time, I felt inadequate, like I was missing something everyone else seemed to have. And I think many of us spend a lot of time feeling that way, as if we're lacking or not quite enough. So I began searching. Through my art, through nature, through meditation, and over time, I discovered something important. Nothing was missing. Everything I was searching for was already inside me, waiting to emerge, just like the caterpillar. My intelligence showed up in different ways. I had a different way of looking at things, literally. I saw shapes in space, color, patterns, details others might overlook. And all of my senses were often heightened and had a keen ability to notice the world around me. I was curious, observant, I loved experimenting, and I loved learning by doing. So you can imagine traditional educational settings were not my way of learning. But over time and through mindfulness practice of self-acceptance and self-compassion, I began to understand something. What I once thought were weaknesses were actually my strengths. I realized I'd been measuring myself with someone else's ruler. My ADD became a kind of superpower. I was an artist, and imagining something that doesn't yet exist and bringing it into the world is a powerful form of intelligence. It was because of this revelation that I wanted to go into teaching. I wanted to help others find their strengths. I started teaching nearly 50 years ago right here when I was 16, as you know, in the day camp. And since then, I've taught every age, from preschool to adults. For nearly 30 years, I ran an art program in my barn. Some of your parents and maybe some of you took lessons from me. I love teaching. It's an art form in its own right. Wherever and whomever I taught, I approached it in the same way, with curiosity, observation, and experimentation. If I wanted to teach something I didn't know yet, I just learned it. Because learning never really stops. Often, I was just one of the students learning alongside of you. Something I wish more people understood is that every human being is born a creator. Creativity is not reserved for artists. It's part of being human. From the very beginning of our species, humans survived by imagining what did not exist yet. Someone imagined a tool. Someone imagined a shelter. Music, language, stories. Could you imagine a life without those things? And yet, many people grow up believing they're not creative or that art isn't important. What they usually mean is, I'm afraid of doing something imperfect. Creativity isn't about talent or perfection. It's about engagement, self-discovery, and self-expression. It brings meaning and satisfaction and purpose to lived experiences. In my pottery classes, we discover something about our hands. Our hands and fingertips contain some of the most sensitive nerve receptors in the human body. Every time we shape clay, they send thousands of signals to the brain. Touch becomes information, information becomes understanding. And yet, many of you have grown up touching mostly glass screens, maybe with 1 or 2 fingers. Swipe, tap, scroll. It's not enough. But your hands were made for more than that. They were made to build, to repair, to shape, to create. Some of you have sat at the pottery wheel with me. You know that moment when the clay begins to spin beneath your hands. It feels out of control. Too much pressure, and the walls collapse. Too little attention, and the clay wobbles off center. Eventually, through observation and experimentation, your hands and fingertips gain more understanding. You still may pinch too hard, throw the clay off center, or lose focus. It's not about perfection. Nothing is perfect. It's about the process. It's about what you learn about yourself. In the studio, we talk about wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection. A fingerprint, an uneven rim, a crack. These are not mistakes. They are evidence that something real has happened and that you made it. I learned this in a very personal way. Years ago, I made my father's cremation urn. I used an ancient method of firing called pit firing. The clay is placed in the ground, surrounded by wood and combustible materials, and the fire burns slowly through the night. Earth, fire, smoke, and time. Clay is transformed by fire, just as we are shaped by the experiences that test and strengthen us. There's a belief that the first cracking sound in the firing is the pot's first breath as it comes to life. I loved this idea, so I thought it was a fitting way to honor my father's passing. I had done hundreds of these firings before, but this day was my father's firing. We had a lovely ceremony with my family, and as the fire burned, the smoke rose, and my father's spirit rose. Then we heard the crack, his first breath. And at that moment, it felt like he was reborn in some way. It felt sacred. The next day, you guessed it, I went to retrieve the pot, and sure enough, there was a big hole in it. After hundreds of firings, the one pot that mattered the most was broken. I lost it. I completely fell apart. And what do when that happens? We turn to a friend. She quietly listened and then said, "You aren't perfect. Your dad wasn't perfect. And your pot isn't perfect. Deal with it." Well, it wasn't exactly the gentle comfort I was looking for, but she was right. So instead of hiding the break, I got busy sculpting a butterfly emerging from the hole. And suddenly, it wasn't ruined, it was transformed. Nature reminds us of this truth again and again. The struggle is part of the becoming. Over the years, I've watched many of you at the wheel struggling, adjusting, beginning again. And one of the greatest privileges of my life has been watching you recognize your own growth. Not when someone else tells you you've succeeded, but when you see it, when you feel it for yourselves. That's why I teach. I love witnessing every single student's unique experience, seeing your inner artist peek through your insecurities and doubts, the mystery of becoming revealed. I could keep teaching here for many more years, but it's time for me to move on. I will continue to teach myself and others and to create. Some of my lifelong dreams are already taking shape. Next slide. Creating a loving relationship. Next slide. And building a timber frame home ourselves with our own hands. Next slide. Next slide. By a beautiful river in Maine. Next slide. My dream, my happy place, similar to what I used to do as a child. And the next slide. That's me and my Kubota. And the next slide, we call her the Kubota fly, and she's helping us with this transformation. Next slide, please. Right now, I'm still in the gooey stage, not quite knowing what I will become, but I feel more whole than ever before. Maybe that's what this stage of life is all about, becoming whole. I will stay curious and observant and trust the process and welcome what comes next, though I know this next phase of life can be challenging. I can't wait to meet my future self. Next slide. Some people say my career has come full circle, but I don't see it as a circle. I see it as a spiral. A spiral moves outward. It keeps evolving. That's how learning works. That's how life works. Right now, some of you may feel like you're supposed to have everything figured out. Or maybe you feel like that gooey cellular soup, or that cracked pot, or that you found success. But the truth is, none of us ever fully knows. Life is messy, uncertain, full of discovery. Let's move forward together, with curiosity, observation, experimentation. Trust the process. Be brave. Love your imperfections. That's what makes you human. Keep creating. Be patient with yourself like the butterfly. Transformation takes time, sometimes a whole lifetime. And don't forget, everything you need is within you. If you ever feel like you're going in circles, remember this: you're not going backward. You may simply be moving through the next turn of your spiral. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're not flawed. You are becoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, for reminding us that what we need, we already have. It's already in us. Now, student inductees, your distinguished record at Brooks School has won for you membership in the Cum Laude Society. This society is a fellowship of scholars whose purpose is to recognize excellence in academic work. The Greek motto of the society is arete, dike, time, or excellence, justice, honor. Arete, excellence, is not limited to superiority in scholarship, nor does it involve the endeavor of competing primarily for academic goals. Arete includes the concept of excellence in the moral sense. Dike, justice, includes the concept of what is suitable and appropriate, as well as just. And time, honor, includes the concept of dignity and truth, as well as honor. As you pursue your education, we hope that you will accept the honor of membership in the society as a responsibility to contribute to the ongoing search for greater understanding of humanity. Arete, dike, time. Mr. Packard will now join me in honoring our students. Inductees, as your name is read, please come forward to accept your certificate and pin from Mr. Packard. And to those of us gathered here, feel free to cheer your loudest and direct your positive energies their way as I read each name. In testimony of your admission to the Cum Laude Society by the authority of the society duly granted, we now present you these certificates of membership. Caden Robert Almaraz. Rohan Nilesh Amin. Namia Sai Bondi. Lucia Robin Donahue. Anna Lee Doran. Miley Martha Lung. Mia Macklin Dibb. Natalie Joanna Menendez. Giada Renee Musto. Emma Lee Nagel. Abigail Tahyun Nam. Neve Bear O'Brien. Urmi Patel. Eleanor Caroline Sachs Salhanek. Nenzarashe Kudzai Nikki Shoko. Mauchin Julian Wei. Zi Jung Wei. Tian Trevor Zan. Can we hear it one more time for all the members of the Cum Laude Society? Please rise if you're able to sing the school hymn. Cum Laude Society Class of 26, your families and your school community are so proud of you. I have a few instructions for everyone regarding what comes next. Cum Laude members and their guests will process out first. Please gather for photos on the chapel lawn before heading to a luncheon in your honor in the Keating Room. Everyone else, students and faculty, once the new inductees have processed out, please depart following our usual procedure, and you'll have lunch as normal in the dining hall. With thanks to Mr. Chapman for sharing this with me, I have the following blessing as a benediction. May the seeds of knowledge planted here blossom into wisdom and understanding. May our school be a place of growth, friendship, and joy, where we learn to be kind and compassionate to one another. May we all go forth with hope and purpose, ready to make a positive difference in the world. Thus concludes the 2026 Cum Laude induction ceremony. Thank you.